Has this ever happened to you?
Alright guys, I'm ready for KVK, Nether War, Soleil. Huh?
Wouldn't it be better if this happened instead? Fairer is always better. Take this opportunity to get your hands on this once-in-a-lifetime deal. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so that you can see how to improve your KVK, Nether War, Soleil, and Kingdom Raid matchups. But wait, there's more. If you hit that like button as well, you will be recommending to YouTube to use this video. That way, other people can get this advantage too. Let's go and have a look at what you get inside this deal. Now that cringeworthy 1980s infomercial is over, which I hope made you laugh, let's get to the meat of today's video. Hi guys, Mountain here, bringing you another Learning Corner video. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing how you can improve your pairings for things like KVK, Soleil, Kingdom Raid, things like that, and even a quick little how to improve your Netherfall and Nether War rankings. Right, so today we're going to be exclusively looking at Excel. I've got it all set up there. A couple of us in different kingdoms have been trying different things to see what actually goes into the algorithm of your pairings. And there's a couple of things that we have figured out for sure, and a lot of things that we're pretty certain is involved. We're not 100%, but we are pretty close. And I'm going to show you all of that, and you can understand, hopefully, how to improve your actual results. So we're going to switch over now to the Excel document. There we go. And my camera is up at the top because I wanted you to be able to see all these figures that we're going to be putting in. And I'm going to try and explain this to you as quickly and succinct as possible and make it as easy as possible for you to understand. Right, so what we've figured out so far is we know that the highest SH level is a factor in your algorithm. How many players in the different SH levels are a factor. On top of that, we know from what the development team have said in mails that they've sent out with things like the mergers and that hitting the golems and stone sentinels counts towards your algorithm as well, in terms of the highest damage dealt as well as the total damage dealt. And we do know that there's a certain element of it that is around how many people in your kingdom spend. And this, we don't know exactly how much and the way that works, but we've got a pretty good idea that it's got something to do with the VIP levels. So I'm going to show you what we've worked out so far, and you can see in actual practice how this applies to you, and you might understand why you're getting potentially really bad KVK pairings, for example. Right, so here are the different categories, and I've broken them down just into color sections, so it's a little bit easier, hopefully, for you guys to see. Starting off at the top at the highest SH level. So let's say, for example, your highest SH level right now is a 43. Okay. Oh, I'm in the wrong square there. Right, so we say it's a 43. Now, these numbers can get really huge at the end of the day. So we're going to keep it as simple as possible in the beginning, so I can just show you how it works. And then we'll put in something a bit more realistic. Okay, so we're going to say for each of these different brackets, for SH between 40 to 45, 35 to 39, 30 to 34, 25 to 29, 20 to 24, and below 20, we're just going to say every one of them has got 10 players in those brackets. Okay, highest damage done to golem or stone giant. Again, we're going to make it simple. We're just going to say 100. Total damage done to golem. Let's say, for example, you've got 100 players, and each player of those 100 do 100 damage. That's then going to give us 10,000. Okay, number of VIP players at level 1, level 2, and level 3. We're not sure how many VIP levels there are, but what happens is once you spend Sorry, once you spend a certain amount of money in the game, you will become what they call a VIP player, and you will receive rewards from the development team just to say thank you for everything that you are spending in the game. Because a lot of these people spend a ton of money, and it's just a nice way to say thank you over and above. So let's just say, for example, there are obviously the higher the level, the less people you'll have. So we're going to say there's 5 level 1, there's 2 level 2, and 1 level 3. Okay, and we're going to say the number of active players that logged in over the last over the last 10 days. We're just going to say 100, and this is the total kingdom rating you see here at the bottom. Okay, which is in this particular case, what's it? There's 100,000. That's millions. That's billions. 4 trillion, 4.3 trillion. Okay, guys, sorry, just to quickly interrupt myself there. We do not know what the multiplication factor is between all of these numbers. We just know that they are involved. So we are doing it in a simple manner, multiplying all the main base numbers together, dividing it by the number of active players, and getting a base total. The numbers could switch around and be all over the place, but at the end of the day, the results, while the number will be different, the results in terms of the differences between the two will be the same relation in ratio wise. So bear that in mind. We're not sure the order of the sum or the order of the algorithm, the manner of the algorithm, but the ratios could basically be equal either which way you end up doing it. If we go across to here, let's just put this at 43 as well. The second column, it's basically for me to show you what happens when you have overpowered players. Okay. So here you can see that's our kingdom rating at the bottom. Okay, now let's say, for example, your highest level is 40 and somebody in your kingdom has pushed themselves to 45. If you look at the bottom now, you'll see there's a difference as well. And the difference is in the positive under column B, because that's going to be a higher bracket that they are pushing your kingdom into. Okay, and in this particular case, just by doing that, your kingdom is getting a higher rating of 500 billion. Okay. There is a kingdom rating B, which is how they bring it down to how many stars your kingdom is worth. We don't know what that is, so I'm just giving you an overall factor here just to show you how it works. Okay. So now what happens is you've got this 45 in your kingdom, and everyone else, your biggest other castles are 40s. That 500 billion is potentially going to push you into a bracket with other kingdoms that are also at 500 billion, or at that extra 500 billion. So 4.5 trillion kingdoms as opposed to 4 trillion kingdoms. Now, what happens is, let's say, for example, you've got 3 people in your kingdom who have pushed to 45, while everybody else is only at 40. So this is going to go up to, say, 13. Okay. Now, if you look at it, it's an even bigger number. 1.85 trillion difference. So the more people you have pushing beyond that level ahead of the kingdom's growth is going to be pushing you into a higher bracket. Now that 1.8 trillion difference could push you 2 brackets up. So now what happens is you're going against other kingdoms that are sitting at almost 6 trillion, while your kingdom is still generally sitting at players of level SH40, and you don't have enough players to actually defend your KVKs and things like that. Now, if we put in realistic numbers, as I say, these numbers are going to jump astronomically. So I'll show you quickly now. That is just showing you with having only 100 active players and only having 10 in each of these categories, for example, which actually doesn't add up. But anyway, let's have a look now at a more realistic look. Okay, so let's say your kingdom, your highest level is an SH40, and you have 10 players between 40 and 45, say. In this case, that means you've got 10 players at 40, and then you've got, say, 15 players at 35 to 39, and then you've got 40 players at 30 to 34, 60 players at 25 to 29, then you're going to have, say, 80 players at 20 to 24, and you're going to say have 150 players at lower than SH20, a lot of your bots and things like that. Okay, so now what happens is you're comparing the same results, the same numbers, because you'll see it automatically copies to the second column. But here we're saying that there's the extra 3 players between 40 to 45, and your highest level is 45. Now, if you look at the bottom there, you'll see that number is beyond the trillions. Okay, I'm not even sure what number comes after trillion, to be honest. Okay, I just looked it up to be sure. It is quadrillion. So in this particular case, you've now got 7.9, or basically 8 quadrillion higher kingdom rating than you should have. It's going to push you definitely into that next bracket and potentially another bracket above that or even further than that. So this is why you have a lot of the time people complaining, my KVKs are unfair, or my Soleil events and things like that are unfair. No matter what I do, we end up going against these absolutely huge kingdoms. Well, the primary 3 reasons for that is going to be, number one, you've got somebody who has overgrown the rest of the kingdom, or a couple of people potentially that have overgrown the rest of the kingdom. Number 2, that overgrown player is doing a huge amount of damage to the golem compared to what anybody else does. And number 3, the fact that overall your kingdom, because you've got quite a few big players, are doing a hell of a lot of damage to the golem. So let's have a look here. If we're going to increase these golem amounts, for example, because this is not a realistic look at it, let's just say, for example, your highest damage done to golem is 150 million. Okay, and your overall damage, because you've got 100 players, it's not quite going to be 150 billion. We're just going to say 1 billion. Okay. Now, again, it copies across to the other column. And now you can see that we have an even higher number of variants. This is now beyond quadrillions. I think we're into the sextillions now, even higher than that. Now, the only way to come around this problem is going to be to change the amount of damage you deal to the golem, and to change the highest damage to the golem, and to stop people from overspending in the kingdom. That's the 3 biggest things you can do. So let's say, for example, we're now going to put this here, and we're going to say that this is the 45, okay? And here we're going to say, same kingdom, we've left everybody at 40, okay? Now, on the other hand, what we're doing is we're going to have, say, 20 people over here. We're going to have 20 people over here. Okay, that's going to bring down, let's say, this number to 30, for example. Okay, now we're going to also bring down the amount of damage we're dealing to the golem. So instead of doing 150 million, we're going to ask all our big players to wear Warwolf, or to go naked, or while they're attacking the golem, or something like that. So let's say, for example, we managed to half that amount. Now we're doing, instead of 150 million, we're doing 750,000. Now, the overall damage to the golem, that's also going to come down. If we get everybody to do it, for example, that'll be half, but not everybody is going to. So we're going to bring this down a bit, but we're not going to go too ridiculous with it. And we're going to say, let's just say 600 million. Okay, there we go, 600 million. Now, if you look at the variance now, it is much smaller than it was before, but it is now on the other way, because we've got the 45 here and we've got the 40s over here. So we've managed to get more players into the higher brackets, and we are still lower points than we were before. This means that our pairings are going to be a lot more balanced. We're going to be going against people of the same level, maybe slightly weaker, maybe slightly stronger, depending on how they're managing their golems and things like that. But you're going to get a much better balance of going against KVK, Soleil, Kingdom Raids, and things like that. Your 3 biggest things is your biggest spenders have to stop outgrowing everybody. Get your kingdom to start growing together at roughly the same rate, so that you get more players into that bracket before people start going to the next bracket. That way you are prepared. You're going to be going against like-size kingdoms. Reduce the amount of damage you're dealing to golem, at least for a little bit, and reduce the overall damage to golem. Those are the 3 biggest things that you can do right now to improve your KVK, Soleil, and Kingdom Raid pairings. If you're not sure about doing this, I suggest do it just 1 week, for one set of 2 weeks. Okay, for the 2-week period, everybody does this. Nobody goes any further in terms of your stronghold sizes or leveling up into new brackets, for example. Everybody stays where they are just for a 2-week period, reduces the amount of damage on Golem, reducing the highest damage on Golem, and have a look at how your KVK pairings and that work. We've just done it now for the last 2 weeks in our kingdom, and we have gone from losing astronomical sizes compared to us to having a fair, even KVK. Have a look and test for yourself. Now, with regards to Nether Fall or Nether War, it's a bit different. The biggest thing with Nether Fall or Nether War is the variance amount that you either win by or you lose by. Now, what I mean by that is this over here. Let me show you this image. This here is what I'm talking about. If you look at the middle here after a Nether Fall or Nether War, you'll be able to see your points and your opponent's points. The variance between these points is going to be the biggest thing that puts you into your next set of pairings. Okay. If you are, for example, on gold level 2, the first thing they look at is what level you at, and the second thing is how well did you do in your last match. If you won by a huge amount, that's going to say, okay, in this group, you're big. We're going to put you against other people in this group who are big. And you're going to go against tougher opponents. If the variance between you and your opponents, win or lose, is a smaller amount, they're going to look at it and go, okay, your opponents were about on even with you. We're going to put you on even again in the same category. If you lose horribly to your opponents, they're going to go, okay, those opponents were stronger than you. We're going to put you against somebody that's weaker than that level so that you can have a fair matchup. Now, what happens is, if you want to try and manipulate this to an extent, you can control the amount of points that you either win or lose inside Nether War or Nether Fall. If you are going to win, let's say, for example, you see 20 of your players rock up and 3 rock up on the other side. You know, odds are you're going to be winning that event. Try and manage it that the amount of points that you win by is a relatively small amount. Not too small that your opponents at the last minute go, hang on a second, we could win this, and go nuts trying to take everything over and potentially beating you. But at a small enough variance that you feel comfortable that they can't beat you, but at the same time, you are going to have a small amount as possible and get the win. If you, on the other hand, are the 3 castles and you see your opponent is sitting with 20 castles, you know odds are you're going to lose. So get some points, but make sure that you're not going overboard to try and get all the points you can possibly get. Let that gap actually be a big gap. You're going to lose anyway. So make sure that everybody who participates gets enough points to get all the rewards, and might as well stop there. There's nothing further for you to gain from that point. It's an unfair matchup. So doing this is going to fix that balance and give you a fair matchup on the next match. That is how you're going to better improve your Nether Fall or Nether War pairings as well. Right, guys, I hope this has been understandable. I hope I've made sense to you guys. That is how you're going to improve your odds of getting a better pairing in Nether War, Soleil, Kingdom Raid, KVK. If you liked this video, you found it informative, please hit the like button down below. And then don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon so that you can know whenever I go live or whenever I upload new updates or tips and tricks or anything like that for you guys to see. Gonna be it for this video, guys. Until the next video, be good, be well, be safe. Bye.